Hello everyone, Bradley here, and welcome into another Civilization 6 tutorial. One of the questions we get asked a lot on our stream is questions about great people. A variety of questions such as which great people should I look out for, how do I use great people, should I be passing on great people, how do I earn enough points to get the great person that I want. And I thought I'd take the time to make a quick little video for you guys talking about all aspects of great people so that you, when you hop into your Civilization games, have all the information you need to start making some informed decisions around great people, because they can really make or break your game, especially as you head into the higher difficulties. So the first thing we're going to want to do is actually hop into this great person screen. We're going to use this deity game here as Korea. This is a game we just won on this turn. It is almost perfectly set up for us to talk about great people. So the first place you need to head to learn about great people is this great person screen right in the top left. So the first thing we're going to notice is that there's a whole bunch of different types of great people. All right, we have great generals, great admirals, great engineers, great merchants, great prophets, great scientists, great writers, great artists, and great musicians. All right, now these great people each have a specific effect that will help you out throughout the game and give you a specific bonus. Right, so right now these great people that you're looking at are the ones that are next in the queue to be attained. Right, so the next person who earns a great general will get this great general. The next person who earns a great engineer will get this great engineer. And they will cycle through, all right, they will cycle through all of the great people until there's none left. Right, so each of these has a specific amount. In most of your games, you won't hit the end of the queue for a lot of these great people. Not all of them will be earned, but in most of your games, all of the great prophets will be earned. So you can see all of the great prophets. In this game, there was 4 available. On a bigger map, there would have been 5 available. Right? It says all individuals of this type have already been earned. So no matter what I do, no matter how many great prophet points I earn, no matter what I want to get out of this game, I cannot earn a great prophet. Now, just below that, each of the great people have a name, which is nice. This is Viaya, Chester, Sergey. So if you want to get a little bit into the history, the name is there for you guys, as well as a little description about that person, what they do, why they're in the game, kind of how it relates to their ability, kind of their history in the real world is put in there, which is nice. And then underneath that, it tells you what abilities this great person gives you. Now, this is obviously really important because you're going to have some decisions to make about which great people you want to keep and which great people you want to pass. We'll get to that in a minute. But for instance, this great general, this passive effect, you can hover over these and it'll tell you whether it's a passive or an active effect. This passive effect is +5 combat strength and +1 movement to information era land units within 2 tiles. Right? It's activated. It's retire charge. It says it takes 1 charge, so you just retire it. Grants 1 promotion level and 100% combat experience to a military land unit. Right? This great engineer grants 1,500 production towards space race project construction. At the next kind of step down the screen for all of these great people is kind of the points ticker and the points tracker. Each of the civilizations in the game, each of the leaders, has a little bar that has numbers counting up on it, and the bar just fills out based on how close you are to achieving the numbers that are on top of the bar. All right? This is the amount of great person points you need to collect this great person. All right? So this great general requires 3,375 great general points. This great merchant requires 1,715. This great engineer, 1,245. This great writer, 960, etc., etc., etc. Now, the points only tick up if they're the same point that matches the great person you're trying to collect. So great merchants only collect great merchant points. So it says I have 10 great merchant points earned this turn. We'll get to that in a minute, right? But if I get more great general points, it does nothing to help me to get more great merchants, if that makes sense. So the points don't cross over at all, all right? The next thing we're going to look at is kind of what the bars are telling you in terms of projection, right? So let's say you're in a science game, you really want Sergey Korolev here. He's going to give you a big boost to your space race game. What you can do is you can hover over and see that you are collecting 12 great engineer points this turn. Points come primarily from districts and buildings. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but it says 12 great engineer points earned this turn, right? So you can kind of do the math if you want, right? If I'm collecting 12 per turn and I need to get to 1245, that'll be X turns until I acquire this great engineer. The Maya down here are earning 34, right? They're earning 34, which is way higher than my 12, and they're already ahead, so they're definitely going to beat me to this great person here. And the last thing we're going to look at on this screen for now is this bottom part here, which tells you the cost of the unit, right? So you can buy this great engineer or this great writer or this great musician for the cost in either gold or faith that is below that great person, right? And this cost or faith buys out the remainder of your bar, right? So you don't get to go 597 into the next great person. It buys out the great person for you. What this means is that every time that you earn more points, this cost goes down, right? You can see here, this great general that I'm really far away from getting, I'm like 3,200 points away from getting it, cost me 32,000 faith or 49,000 gold. That's so ridiculously expensive, I'd never be able to purchase that, right? But this great musician that I'm really, really close to earning, 530 out of 660, cost me 2,000 gold or 1,450, right? And you can see now, if we head to the great person screen, that this great artist now costs less than it did. 5,400, 3,600. Right? So let's go ahead another 2 turns. So as you can see, the cost is now 4,700 gold or 3,190. Now you have to keep in mind that the AI can do this too, right? So if you're really, really close to earning a great person and you're really excited about it, but the AI is not too far behind and they have a lot of cash on hand, they can buy out the great person from you. And then your points will stick around, right, for the next great person. But your points only get consumed if you actually get the great person. So if someone buys out the great person from you, you still have 645 that goes towards the next great person. Now let's look at how to generate points. So the main way you are going to generate points for great people is through the buildings in your districts or through the districts themselves. Now, this changes depending on some civilization. Leaders might have different abilities that change how great people work, right? There is a leader in the game that allows you to get a free great prophet if all the other great prophets have been earned before you and those types of things. But for the most part, you're going to earn great person points based on the buildings in your district. So if we go to Genji was here, this is a fun Twitch name for a city. All right, and we head to our Seowon. So we can go over our Seowon, which is our campus for Korea. All right, you can see we're getting 1 great scientist point per turn. It says it on the left for having the Seowon. The library is giving us 1 great scientist point per turn. The university is giving us 1 great scientist point per turn. And the research lab is giving us 1 great scientist point per turn. That's a total of 4. Busan has another 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So we're getting 8 great scientist points between these cities. And you just go so on and so forth. And you start adding up all your great people points for each type of great person. So those that we just calculated were great scientist points. And that's how it equals this number here, the 50 great scientist points earned this turn. If you add up all those campuses, all those districts and everything that's giving me great scientist points, that is that number that is going up on the ticker. Commercial Hub is giving us 1 great merchant point per turn. The market's giving us 1. The stock exchange is giving us 1, and so on and so forth. The Gilded Vault is giving us 2 per turn, right? And so this is how I can tell whether I'm earning great person points or not in this city. And then they all get added up together, and they go on to the ticker. Now, there are a few other ways to earn great person points that you should know about. The biggest 2 that you'll use frequently that aren't building districts right away are Pingala. So Pingala is a governor in the game. If you don't use Pingala often, I recommend it. If you get him down to his grants promotion here, plus 100% great people points generated per turn in the city. And that applies to all the great person points being earned in the city where Pingala is. Right, so if this library is earning 1 great scientist point, I'm getting 2 because Pingala is adding 1 to it. Right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 great scientist points in Daegu, but because I have Pingala here and he has grants, it's actually 8, if that makes sense. So Pingala, with grants, you can put him in a city that has lots of different districts, right? Because he's doubling my great scientist points, he's doubling my great engineer points from the industrial zone. But it is helpful if you have a city that has a campus and an industrial zone and a commercial hub and a theater square, and you put Pingala with grants there, you will double all the points that you're getting. So that's a neat little strategy that you might want to try to collect more great person points. All right. When you go to your wonder selection, early in the game, the Oracle is a wonder that's available for you as well. I believe it comes in pretty early on the culture tree. There she is. We haven't even done mysticism yet. We didn't even need mysticism to win this match, you guys. But there's the Oracle. The Oracle makes great people cost 25% less faith, which is helpful if you're going to be collecting a lot of faith and you don't mind spending it on great people. Right, you can use the Oracle to reduce that cost a little bit. Districts in this city provide +2 great person points of their type. For example, great writer points from the Theater Square district. Must be built on hills. So, if I get the Oracle in Daegu, and I put the Oracle in Daegu somewhere, right, just for having the CO on, it doesn't apply to the buildings, but it applies to the district. The district is already giving me +1 great scientist point per turn, right? The Oracle will add 2 great scientist points per turn to that to make that 3, and then Pingala will double that all to make that 6. All right, so the next thing we can look at here is another way to earn great person points that a lot of people don't either know about or don't utilize, and that is your district projects here. So once you put districts down, you can see I have a campus and a commercial hub and an amphitheater, right, or a theater square, sorry. And that gives me the ability to earn points for those districts by converting my city production into great person points. So what that does is if you go to projects down here, you can see that I can run a commercial hub investment for the commercial hub, a campus research grants for the campus, or a theater square festival for the theater square. Now, if you read what that does, let's go campus research grants. A district-based project which provides science every turn, so it'll give me a little boost to my science per turn up here. But the main thing it does is gives us great scientist points once finished. So if I run this for 5 turns, at the end of that 5 turns, I'm going to see a big boost in great scientist points, right? If I go to my great person screen, I'll see a big boost in great scientist points earned for that turn. And I'll also get a little bit of a boost on my science per turn earned. Right? So if you have a city, they're not doing much, they don't have a lot of production, or it's close to the end of the game, so you don't really want to build anything else there, you can use your cities, like Genji here, to get great person points and kind of tick up your metrics at the top a little bit. So that's how that works. It gives you a 1 turn, it gives you like a lump sum of points, and then it gives you a small amount of culture per turn or science per turn or gold per turn. You also need to have the district down to do this. If I go to a city without a commercial hub here in Daegu, I can't run commercial hub investments or whatever. I can only run the industrial zone one for the industrial zone, which will give us great engineer points, right? And campus ones for the campus. Where's that? That's right there. All right, it took me a minute to find a way to collect a great person here. I had to go back like 50 turns and then go forward a few turns, but we're here, and we have a great merchant we can collect, John Rockefeller. The ability here is that it grants 3 oil per turn. Your trade routes gain 2 gold for each strategic resource at the destination city. Now, you can read these abilities and figure out, hey, this is good for me, this is not good for me. I'll take this great person or I won't. And that is the decision we're going to play out right now. We're going to do it both ways. We're going to play the game as if we take this great merchant and then if we pass on this great merchant, so you can see what the difference between the two is. So let's recruit the great merchant. Every time you recruit a great person, you do have to read carefully to its ability to know how to activate it, right? But usually, they will only activate on tiles that have the white little borders around them to kind of help you out find a tile that your great person can activate to, or activate from. Also, you can transfer your great people through your cities by having them stand in the center of your city and transfer to another city. And you can just click the green city centers if you want to transfer them over. So if we want to transfer to Yangsan here, it just transfers over instead of walking all the way around the mountains. For some things like the great generals, right, if you have one, this one says plus 5% production towards military units. Easy enough. But if you have one that says like gives a promotion to a land unit, you need to actually go to that land unit, right? And click the ability on top of that land unit, not just anywhere on the map. Same with this great engineer. This district's regional buildings, so it'll apply to the district that you put it on, right? Whereas this ability here, right? This ability for our great merchant, we'll check next turn. We'll read it and see and make sure that we don't want to consider a different place to put this. But it just is good to know that just because a whole bunch of places are lighting up with white borders doesn't mean they're all equally good to place the great person at, depending on the ability, right? So let's head. We've taken our great person. We're going to activate it so you guys can see what that looks like. All right, so we're here, and we have John Rockefeller. If you would like to look at the ability here, you can just hover over this little face at the bottom. Grants 3 oil per turn. So that already we know. It doesn't matter where I do this. It just gives me 3 oil per turn. Your traders gain plus 2 gold for each strategic resource at the destination city. So again, it's implying that it doesn't matter where I send the trade route from. It doesn't say they need to be sent from this city. It just says I get extra gold for each strategic resource at the destination city. So you can send this guy to any commercial hub and the effect will work exactly the same. That's fine. All you gotta do is head to one of these applicable tiles. It also says there must be completed on a commercial hub, so it'll let you know where to put this. We're gonna go here and we are gonna activate it. Bam. And so we were going plus 3 oil per turn and losing 4 per turn, but we should gain 3 now that we activated that effect. It said we're going to gain 3, and voila! The arrow's pointing up, and now we're at plus 6 oil per turn. So we know the effect worked. We're all good. All right, so we are here with this great engineer, just to give another example here. This great engineer is Robert Goddard, who gives us the Eureka moment for the rocketry technology and 20% production towards space race projects. Now, we already have the rocketry technology. Right? So in these situations, this is the kind of situation where you might want to pass on this, right? You already have rocketry. It's already done. So getting the boost for it isn't helpful because you've already researched it. But that plus 20% production towards a space race project in a game where I'm trying to win via space race projects is really valuable. So we're going to use it anyway. But it says plus 20% production towards space race projects. It doesn't specify a city, so I'm pretty comfortable going here. This is the only city with a spaceport right now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But again, read the fine print to know how the effect works based on which city it's in, where you're activating the great person. But we will activate it, and then next time we go to build a space race project, we're getting 20% off the production. So that's how activating great people works. Let's take a look at passing on great people and how that affects your points and so on and so forth. Okay, so we are here with our favorite great merchant, John Rockefeller, again. This time, instead of recruiting the great person, we are going to pass on the great person. So right now, I am collecting 14 great merchant points per turn. So let's pass on John Rockefeller. Bam. So we have passed. If we go back to this screen here, now it says we cannot recruit it. It's going to keep our bar full. We have the right amount of points, but we cannot recruit this great person anymore. So now we have to wait until the next great merchant. But, this is the crucial but. This is why passing great people can be worth it sometimes. You get to keep your points towards that great person, right? So remember that Mali, when Mali collects this, he's going to lose all his points. So he's going to go down to 0. Right? And so that person's going to go down to 0, and then we're going to keep collecting and keep hold of our points. So if we go a few turns here. All right, so we have gone a few turns into the future, and now there's a new great merchant, right? Someone has claimed John Rockefeller. You might be thinking, hey, I thought Mali was going to claim it and go to 0. If you remember, Hungary was right behind Mali, and Hungary paid to buy it out. So this is what I was talking about. Sometimes the AI can be really sneaky, and they have bought out this great person. And we can do the same thing, right? Mali's collecting 33 points per turn. We're collecting 14. So they're going to beat us to this great person. So if we really want this and make sure Mali doesn't get it, we can buy it right now for 1,600. But that's kind of how the mechanic works. And you can see that Hungary went all the way back down to 0 points. But we kept our points. We're still right in the hunt for this next one. We didn't go down to 0, right? Which gives us the ability now to buy it. because we didn't go to 0. We held on to our points. We didn't want that great merchant anyway, but we really love this one. And now we can collect it for our 1670, if that makes sense. Sometimes you'll be waiting a very, very long time. If you're collecting like 50 great scientist points per turn, right, and everyone else is collecting 4, you have to wait until someone collects it. So you might go 30 turns. Like, you cannot collect another great scientist until the one you passed gets claimed by someone else, if that makes sense. But passing great people is a good strategy to use in some cases if you really don't want that great person and you know there's one coming up that you're going to want to use your points, your money, your faith on as a combination to acquire and recruit that great person. All right, that's it. That's all for great people. I really, really hoped you enjoyed the video. The last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is this wiki page, which I will throw into the description below. There's a link. This wiki page has a list of all the great people in the different categories here, so you can kind of look at this before your next game and go, hey, these are the ones I'm going to shoot for. These are the ones I like. I'm most familiar with the great scientists, so we'll head here first. Right, it gives you instructions, the same instructions we just went over. But get Cyberpunk. I'm excited for Cyberpunk, but get out of here. Right, here are all the bonuses. Right, there's one bonus which I really, really don't like. This is the one. Gain 350 science for every artifact in this city. There's a lot of times where by the time I collect this, I don't have any artifacts. So I want to pass this guy because I want this 3,000 production towards space race construction. Right, so it'll tell you which era the great person can arrive in. Obviously, you can't have an atomic era great scientist arrive first, right? Within the era, they can be randomized, so you might get Hypatia first instead of Arabata or whatever. But this gives you a little list, and then you can see, ooh, this ability is really good. I liked that oil ability, but I really don't like this artifact ability. And you can kind of familiarize yourself with what the different great person options are and how they might help you. Another one is the great merchant. Recently in a patch, having amenities just got much, much better and more helpful than it used to be. So the great merchants here that give you toys and jeans, or here's one, creates 2 copies of Estee Lauder, creates 2 copies of perfume, which give you +6 amenities each. Where's the one that gives you toys? Creates 1 copy of toys, which provide +4 amenities. There's one that gives you jeans as well. Is it a great merchant that gives you jeans? There is. Oh yeah, here it is. Creates 2 copies of jeans, which give +4 amenities each. Right, and so you can see, hey, I really want those. Those are really good. And gain 500 gold and 2 envoys, probably not as good, right? I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this is helpful. In another video one day, we might talk about which great people you should look out for and which ones you should avoid. But I really want you to take all this information, the info we just looked at in the game, this info here, and kind of learn for yourself. Play the game, have some fun. Don't let me tell you what to do. So I hope you're armed with the knowledge you need to have fun in Civ when it comes to great people. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this tutorial, leave other tutorial suggestions in the comments below. All right, I'd love to do more of these. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to catch more videos, or you want other people to be able to find this video a little bit easier so we can help them out as well. We're also live, twitch.tv/VanBradley quite often. That link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.